Hello, this is Ross Stanger, and I wanted to create a short video to discuss the Social Studies standards from 2020 and an overview of our curriculum. So the way that our standards are set up, we want the students ultimately to be civically minded, globally aware, and socially responsible. And I've taken the liberty of highlighting what I think are the key words from the vision. And some of the main things, obviously, within this are we want our students to exemplify fundamental values of democracy and human rights, make informed decisions, obviously respect diversity and consider multiple perspectives, recognize relationships between people, places, and things, obviously within the environment and also among one another. And finally, to have a strong understanding of media literacy, to be able to understand fact from fiction, and to really be able to critically look at information. The way our standards are set up is I'll use the analogy of a building. And the building's foundation is based upon the vision and mission of the standards and of social studies, and we just talked about that a little bit. It's also, the walls are made up of the performance expectations, and the trusses and the roof are the disciplinary concepts and the core ideas, as well as the practices. And you'll see them described a little bit more deeply down at the bottom. So the way that the standards are written, they are essentially the same concept, but broken up into four what I'll call grade bands. And the four grade bands are by the end of grade 2, by the end of grade 5, by the end of grade 8, and by the end of grade 12. And what that basically means is that the social studies standards in the first band, K to 2 band, have to be mastered by the children by the end of second grade. And this is basically the concept that has to be mastered. And it is essentially the same concept in all four bands, but what happens is that the concept becomes a little bit more complex at each step along the way. And what it basically means is that all of the standards really just get more complex over time, but the key ideas and the fundamental concepts largely stay the same. Now, the major changes that have occurred from the earlier standards to the 2020 version from last year, as I discussed, are new grade bands, and there are specific performance expectations for one of the three standards that social studies has, which are 6.1, 6.2, and 6.3. 6.1 is United States history, America in the world. And by the end of fifth grade, the children have to master the beginnings to 1620 and then up through 1763, which the state refers to as colonization and settlement. So again, those have to be mastered by the end of grade 5, and there are additional what are called performance expectations in standard 6.3, which is called active citizenship in the 21st century. And what that essentially does is that supports current day civics instruction. And that is where the children have to actively engage with one another and society to learn how to be good citizens. Now, there are some key practices and skills that social studies tries to develop, and those practices are in the left-hand column here, which relate to developing questions and planning questions or inquiries, gathering and evaluating information and sources, seeking diverse perspectives, developing claims and using evidence to support those claims, presenting arguments or claims and explanations, and finally, engaging in civil discourse and critiquing conclusions, which is one of the more interesting ones in light of where our country finds itself today, which is largely, at least from my point of view, seemingly unable or less able to engage in civil discourse with one another around areas where we disagree, especially related to politics. So this is an especially large emphasis point for me because I really want the children to be able to engage in civil discourse where they use information and do so critically, but in support of a point of view that is respectful of others. The standards are located here at this particular link, and the standards for grades K to 2 begin on page 30. That is the place where you can go, and they go up through page 35, and then the standards for grades 3 to 5, that band, begin on page 36. So hopefully that gives you an overview of the way that the standards and the curriculum intertwine. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me via phone or email at rstanger@vineland.org. Thank you.